Sup guys, it's Corrupted, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than normal. I'm super hyped for Borderlands 4, so I decided to show the Amon build that I'm going to start with when the game comes out on the 12th. And so let's get into it. So it's mainly going to be in the red tree. I'm going to go with Calamity as my action skill, because you get the movement speed, the extra fire damage. The mega punches sound super fun. And then I'm going to go into, personally, discombobulate 5. We don't know the max percentages, but any percentage of being able to crit with my melee, I'm 100% taking. And then we're going to put the 3 points into gut punch, because it's one of the only damage amps in the game that we've seen so far. And then I'm going to put the other 2 points into impetus, because I love movement speed skills and it stacks. So if that's 3% movement speed per stack, stacks 3 times, and it's 9 and it stacks 3 times, that's 36 plus the 30% from Onslaughter. You're going to be moving fast as fuck. And then I don't think Forged in Steel is worth it, just because we'll get to it in a minute. But there's a skill that I think is better for that than that for survivability. And then I'm gonna put the perks into the last point into impetus, just because it's good. And then titanium knuckles depends on how it stacks with stuff. Like if Onslaughter, since it has the rocket fist, that when you press the melee, if it's considered skill damage, so it double dips with titanium knuckle. Like if you get the scaling both times, then throw in the 4 points in the titanium knuckle. And then we're gonna come over here to the bottom side, bottom right side, I should say, and we're gonna grab the 5 points of catastrophe, because crit damage is broken, especially if that's 10% crit damage. Like, that's huge. Like if it gets 2% per stack, or not stack but point, and then you get another 5% crit chance on top of that with discombobulate, just for doing electricity damage. Like, because you can grab electrical fire, so they both happen at the same time if you want. Insane. But that's just me. And then I'm going to put the points in the Fist of Stone, because it specifically says deals melee damage, that you get a percentage of your forge skill back. And Amon does a lot of melee damage that's not from a melee. Like Onslaughter, if you take the augment with the thermal diffusion to do AoE melee damage, or the capstone we're going to take, Stormcutter, it says you press an ult action skill and you swing a massive forge sword that does a wave of shock melee damage. So if you hit 5 people with that, you'll get your entire action skill back, according to the numbers that it has at the moment. But also, if you hit 5 people and that goes up to 10% with the 5 points, you hit 5 people, you get 45 seconds cut off Storm Cutter's cooldown, and then you pop your action skill, and then you punch like 4 people in the face, and you got Storm Cutter back, and then you use Storm Cutter, and you hit enough people, and you get back Onslaughter duration. And you just keep doing that over and over and over and over again. And then we're going to come over to the left side, and I'm going to put 1 point into Bloodlust, because of it saying flat lifesteal. Whenever your shield breaks, or whenever you activate a action skill, duration's 8 seconds. 3% lifesteal is probably all you're going to need, but you might need more. So it just depends on how it feels, because we know the bare knuckle brawler is what I believe it's called. It's a armor shield that breaks itself every time you melee people, so you can just keep Bloodlust up 100% of the time. So I don't really see the reason to put more points into this. But if the duration increases with the points, then it's totally going to be worth doing. And then I'll move some stuff around to accommodate that. Then we're going to grab Berserk because it makes our action skill hits harder since it does melee damage. Because it makes it whenever you activate your forge skill, you become Berserk for 15 seconds. And per point, you get 6% frost damage, is what it looks like. And it adds to your melee. So Onslaughter will get more. Stormcutter should get more. And then it'd be a separate hit for Fist of Stones if you apply the status effects, theoretically. So it's just loops back into staying into Onslaughter all the fucking time. And that's what we're trying to do, is just be in Onslaughter the entire time. And then put the 3 points into There's Only Red. It turns Berserk into basically a kill skill. And then put the last point into Berserk. And then you can kind of pick here. I don't plan on my health being full that much, so I really don't want to grab that. So I think it's best to throw the last couple in there. And then grab the 3 points in my Touch's Death. Because it makes it to where There's Only Red works in boss fights when there's not a lot of mobs to kill. So that's why we're going there. And Impetus, I'm not 100% sure if I'm saying that right. It'll proc during boss fights. So you can get the movement speed buff and feel nice. And then we got 11 more points, so we're going to go to Neuromechanical. And you can either grab this one, because that's pretty good, since everything you're doing is going to be elemental. Gathering Storm seems super strong, but personally, I think Execution is going to be best, since our melees will have crit chance. Like, everything we do that's melee has crit chance. And we got this perk down here to make it even higher. So if that goes up to 25% hit crit chance for your melee attacks, and then that's a melee, your action skill's considered melee. And then if it stacks with Catastrophe, you just have a ton of crit chance. So getting double crit chance, or not double crit chance, but whatever that is, and then the effect doubled whenever you deal melee damage, just seems too good, especially because critting is normally multiplicative damage, and Amon would love multiplicative damage. And then I like this idea for that, the 20%, at least it looks like 20% damage for your forge skills, just because make Stormcutter do more damage, because it does 385 at base. But I think Cast Iron is better, personally. I think Cast Iron would be better, or Gathering Storm, because we have the chance to just do it, like, get it back. So personally, I would throw it into Gathering Storm. And then we got 1 point left. And so it really doesn't matter where you throw it, just because it's, like, whatever. So I'd probably just throw it back into Bloodlust. That way I have it. Or, actually, I'd probably throw it into Titanium Knuckles. Yeah. And so that's my idea for my first Amon build. So basically, I'm going to just try to stay in Onslaughter as long as possible. Because you see we got a 18-second duration. We get 20% of that back every time we hit someone with a melee. Or not a melee, but Stormcutter. And then every time we punch someone in the face, we get a chunk of Stormcutter back. And so basically, we're just going to try to infinitely spam Stormcutter. And the melee attack of punching people in the face with Rocket Fist. And then the augments is really to taste. Pyroclast sounds really cool because of the kill skill. It sounds awesome with the kill skill. So I'm either going to go with Pyroclast. I'm going to have to test it. If Pyroclast is considered melee damage and triggers Fist of Stone, Pyroclast is the best augment for this build, 100%. like 100%, especially because like the survivability it gives you your health shield back. So it's got to be tested. But then you can also use thermal diffusion if you want to have the AoE punches, which is sounds pretty strong. Fell Frost sounds like a ton of fun with the final follow up with the cryo, where you can just go like rocket punch, and then I assume it's going to be like an uppercut with a blade or something. Sounds really fun. So it's probably going to be what I would do for mobbing, just because it sounds like so much fun, and it has the execute, and also the follow up damage is huge because it's almost double the rocket fist damage. So that's huge, a huge amount of damage. So with that, and then like if you want your melees to go through people, you can do fulminating fist. Sounds pretty good because it's like when you punch, you well, it says pressing action skill, but I'm assuming it's gonna be like you can press the action skill to shoot the wave, or you can just rocket punch people. But if Pyroclast triggers Fist of Stone, we're going Pyroclast. If not, I'm doing Fell Frost for fun. But Pyroclast is probably the best because the Forge Storm gets like goes up to like what? How much damage a second? So much because it triggers off every kill. You get 20%, so you get 10 kills. And if you're in your action skill for like 30 seconds, like you theoretically can with Stormcutter, you're getting those 10 kills 100%, especially with the enemy density in this game compared to the old games. And you're easily going to get that 200% damage multiplier for the Forge Storm. And you're just going to burn everyone to death around you. And you're just going to run around punching them in the face. So, yeah, that's my build idea that I'm going to test as soon as I get Amon to max level. And then I also have a crazier build idea that I'm going to test too. I can go ahead and show that off right now too, just because we got time. This video is only 12 minutes so long. So I can go ahead and show you the rest of this because it might work out to be super OP too. So I'm going to reset this real quick and show y'all my other idea for a build. And my other build idea is go into neuromechanical because thanks to Moxie, shout out to Moxie, we know that when you activate Crucible, which is the action skill here, and you pull out the two axes, you can run around with them without throwing them, and then they become your melee weapon for the duration that the bar's there, and they do bonus elemental damage because they're considered skills. So that's super good. So what I'm going to do with this build for leveling purposes, I'm going to come right here and put 1 point into discombobulate. And that might sound weird to do that first, but it's because I want this to feel good while leveling up. And then I'm going to grab that. So every 1 in 20 hits has a chance to just do a crap ton of bonus damage, which is very nice, in my opinion. And then I'm going to grab Tempered Pyre, because the Forged Drones look like a lot of fun. So whenever I hold my action skill and throw the big axe, it's going to summon an axe that fights with me. And then I'm going to grab that to spawn 2 of them, a fire and an ice one. And then I'm going to grab... It's hard to decide between Herald's Call and Destruction Engine. I'm probably going to do Destruction Engine, but it's like one of those things, like, it's to taste. I'm personally going to go with this since I'm trying to detonate everybody with this build. And then I'm going to grab hammers because I want to use the hammers because they sound fun, and they're also going to be cryo and shock. So it might be better to take Herald's Call. It's just going to depend on how much the scaling is with the detonations. So it's just going to depend on scaling. And then you can grab Cacophony if you want the ordnance stuff. But I'm gonna grab the hammer drones, so I could just be like, it's hammer time, baby, and just screw everybody up. And they deal cryo damage. They don't do a ton of damage, but they're still gonna hurt. And then gonna give all my forge drones more damage. And then personally, I like this because they do ordnance damage too, and it just adds another damage scaler for the hammer drones to make them better. And then I'm gonna come over here and grab this, at least one perk point in it, and then grab this because I want the sword drone. And then I'm gonna grab this because I want them to move faster. And then I'm gonna grab this to do the refill part of my action skill whenever they critically hit. Oh yeah, and I also want snowball. I want to throw the double-sided hammer because I like hammers. And then we're gonna come over here and we're gonna grab discombobulate and weaken because the damage amp is so huge, and theoretically the drones should trigger that because it just says melee damage and ordnance have a chance. Well, does melee damage with the axe drones, the what's it called drones, the hammer drones, or do ordnance and melee damage, and then the sword drones do melee damage, and then the last thing in there so they get more crit chance. You can also come over here and be like AoE whenever you free somebody, and then stuff like that. You can grab this, but it's like, personally, I'd rather just have the sword drones to do infinite freaking crit hits. But that's just me. And also to apply weaken constantly. But the reverse explosion does sound cool. So, like, there might be an argument to get out of these. Like, to not take the sword drones and grab the Raging Inferno and then the what's it called? That's it. The increased status effect damage, and then grab 2 in permafrost, and then the 1 reverse explosion, and then you can grab conflagrating. But personally, that's not what I'm trying to do with them on. I'm trying to run around like with 2 axes out with this build and just slap people in the face with them. Well, I guess they're going to be hammers. So I'm just going to be trying to slap people in the face with the hammers with this build. And then have the drones running around applying my weaken for me and give me other little buffs like this one. So I can be get increased damage dealt. Actually, the more I look at it, like, that's cool and all, but yeah, you get so much action skill with this anyway because you can have 3, and then when you throw the hammer, you can run over and pick it up. So yeah, that's what I would do personally. Do it this way, and that's my second build. So yeah, these are my plans for the start of the game. I'm gonna test out both these builds and see which one's better. I think the Calamity one might be slightly stronger, but it's also one of those things that I'm just going to have to test a lot. Like, it's going to take a lot of testing. So that's my plan. When the game first comes out, I'm going to test all these interactions as soon as it starts, and I'll post another video about how my testing went. But if you like the content and you'd like to see more, be sure to drop a comment, like, subscribe, all that jazz like normal. And right now on my Twitch, I am doing a One Life Mo's playthrough to get hyped for Borderlands 4. So if you'd like to see that, please check out the Twitch. It'll be in the description. I appreciate you for stopping by and checking out what I had to say and see my buildcraft ideas that I've been working on. If this video gets 20 likes, I'll post my Rafa build idea that I haven't seen anyone talk about a build like this that I have for Rafa set up. So if we get to the like goal, I'll throw that up in the next couple of days. But thanks for stopping by, check out Twitch and everything. And I appreciate y'all, and I hope you have a good one.